Welcome to Conversations with Coaches. I have Vicky, Horan, and Linda McNair.
McNair. Yes.
Fantastic.
Good to be here.
Fantastic. Thank you. I think I've met you guys briefly before, but can I get each of you to discuss tell us a little bit about who you are and how you ended up becoming coaches.
Okay, do you want me to
go
go
first,
first?
Vicky? Yes.
Okay, I live alone. I lost my husband many years ago. I struggled all of my life with really severe sinus infections. Went down the usual medical path, lots of antibiotics and nasal drops and throat sprays. And then about 11 and a half years ago, I happened to see a presentation on live TV, morning TV. It was a day I didn't work. And they talked about sugar addiction, which was very pertinent to me. I was a very big sugar addict. And after watching this guy speak, I went cold turkey on sugar that day. And I haven't had a sinus infection in 11 and a half years, and I haven't had an antibiotic in 11 and a half years. So
Wow.
For me, it was a real epiphany. I felt like I could take charge of my own health, and I'd been on incredibly strong antibiotics, which in the end were not really doing anything. So I decided to pursue it because I was really interested in looking at natural methods, particularly in older women, which is who we work with, because often we're a bit forgotten and invisible in the whole scheme of things. So I became a health coach in 2017, and that's where I met up with Linda.
And just before we go to Linda, Vicky, how did you find the world of coaching? How did you even hear of it as a career?
The job that I have only just resigned from, I worked a lot one-on-one with people. I worked with women and children in domestic violence. So I was used to communicating with people. I was used to running groups, and I really enjoyed it. The whole coaching thing, apart from feeling like I had a really important message to share, the whole idea of connecting with people and being able to help them was really appealing.
Excellent. Okay, Linda, tell us a little bit about
Yes.
Linda and who you are and how you came to the world of coaching.
Okay, I've been on a health journey for a long time. I was very sick as a child and always struggled with weight in my early 20s and 30s, even though I thought I ate relatively healthy. So I was always on that journey and always looking out for things. Then in my 50s, I decided to leave corporate world, so to speak, and open my own business, which was bringing earthing and grounding to Australia and introducing that. And in that particular business, I actually spoke to a lot of women, probably in the late 40s, 50s, plus 60s, that have a lot of issues. So for me, and I also did a stint in Lifeline coaching and spoke to a lot of people in that as well. And so for me, it's been my own journey as well. I've cured myself of asthma, fibromyalgia, lots of things, just little things like that. And I've realised that we need to be our own, our own doctor and listen to our intuition more. So that's where I'm coming from. And then I wanted to take it a bit further. So I found IIN as well, as Vicky did, and loved their principles because it wasn't focused on one thing. I was considering going to something like a nutritional college or doing something in that field, but it was so restricted and it didn't align with some of my values that I believed. When IIN came along, it was very much open to a lot of different ways of health, and I loved that. And that was a whole year course, and that's, as Vicky said, that's where we met up. And I wanted to get out of as I said, I had my business for just over 11, 12 years, and I felt that I wanted to now get out to something a little bit different, something where I wasn't responsible for staff and stock and things like that. So we come together and thought it'd be really good to specialise with women, because that's where we found there was the help needed the most. So we come together and said, let's do something about this. And we're both different, and we'll get onto that in a moment. We're both different, but we both have the same goals.
Say our core values align very, very strongly. And Linda came to this journey through weight. I was not weight so much, but I was aware that it was starting to creep up. But when I went on this journey, I lost 13 kilos and I wasn't even trying to. So that was an added bonus for me. And it's good because we can bring different ideas to the table. We might have conflicting views on some minor things, but we always manage to meet in the middle and come out, I think, with the best solution for whatever it is we're discussing.
Excellent. Linda, actually, Vicky, can you confirm for me, was Linda's connection sounding a little bit difficult
Scratchy?
for you? Or was that yeah. Is there,
I was hearing scratchy
is there anywhere
sounds,
you
but I
can
didn't know.
move Linda?
Oh, yeah, I'll move. Yeah, I'll go out into another room.
Excellent.
Sorry. Yeah, that's good if you're
No
saying
problem.
that. Yeah. Oh, okay. Is this sounding better? I'm in the
Yeah, that sounds
Yeah,
much
main
better.
living.
I actually moved rooms too in case it was me. So hopefully we can move forward.
I've got nowhere else I can move, so if it's me, then I'm
No,
sorry.
you're
But
stuck.
I'll confess that I've never heard of it. So do you want to tell me a little bit about IIN? Either one of you?
IIN is the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. It's an online course based in New York, and it goes all around the world. And for me, it was love at first sight when I found this course. And the interesting thing was they strongly recommended that we get a study buddy to help keep each other accountable during the course. We had a new module drop every week. We had exams we had to do. And the funny thing is that Linda and I connected and we live 1 hour apart. So that worked out really well. Particularly as we're in the same sort of age group, we've got adult children, we've got grandchildren, so a lot of things aligned. And we, as I said, our core principles are perfectly aligned.
Anything you wanted to add, Linda?
Yeah, I loved IIN as soon as I saw it as well. And as I said, it didn't confine us to, if we had learnt nutrition in Australia, we would have had to follow the Australian guidelines to the T. And that's one of the things. There was other things that it was about, other things that affect your life, that could be mental things, physical things, just all different things that came into it. And that's, I think, what I loved about it as well. It wasn't just a sort of a box that you had to fit into.
Yep.
Linda, just to let you, you're still scratchy at times. Maybe if some of these questions can be answered by either of you, maybe Vicky can take those ones.
Okay, moving to another
just
room.
so everyone can hear what's being said. Yeah. Excellent. So you became study buddies. What made you decide to go into practice together instead of as individuals?
I tried one-on-one coaching before and when I first knew Linda, because that was my thing at work. I would work one-on-one with clients a lot, but it was very time consuming. You can only see so many clients one-on-one in a given time frame. So what we do now is online coaching, group coaching. So we've got a whole course. We've got 9 modules, so they're all online. So you start at week 1 and you can't progress to week 2 until you finish week 1. We also do group coaching once a week. We have a Zoom online call on a Tuesday night where all the participants in our course, we all get together on Zoom. They can ask questions if they've got any problems. We usually bring a little bit of education around something that we've come across that week, or they'll bring something. Like last night, we were showing some tomato sauce we'd found that fitted perfectly into our eating regime. And we also have a Facebook group. So if through that week they've got any questions, they can ask in the Facebook group, and we keep a close eye on that to make sure we're not missing anything. So we try to give them as much support as possible, but there's also an element of accountability that they've got to bring to the table too, to actually put in the work to get through the module, such as Linda and I had to do when we did the initial training course. But we've got a nice bunch of ladies. They've all gotten to know each other, so it brings in the social aspect as well, where they're meeting other people that are on a like journey, sharing ideas, sharing family stuff. So we really like that aspect of it, that community connection aspect as well.
Yeah, that sounds like a very familiar model. We were all in a similar group with, or still are, with Brett McFall.
Exactly. It's a great model, and it works well.
It sure is. I have my own coach who was on the last episode too, Alyssa Freeman, and the two of us started out one-on-one. I started in Brett's marketing and then started doing his model of group coaching. And then when I told her about it, she jumped in as well. And then I got converted from a one-on-one client with her to a group client. And I actually find that being a group client helps me a lot more than one-on-one. She was amazing one-on-one, but being in a group, all these things come out from other group members that you were unconscious with you or whatever. You didn't even know you were dealing with, and so you end up learning a lot more than you would on your own.
Yep, I would agree with that for sure.
Yeah, me too.
So what's the name of your business?
It's called Livy Wellness. So Linda
Living
and
Wellness?
Vicky, L-I-V-I for Linda and Vicky,
Yep.
L-I-V-I, well, Livy Wellness. So it's weight and wellness for women over 50.
So what's the core philosophy behind your coaching?
Our core philosophy would be about helping women in our age group to be able to manage their own health to a certain degree. Obviously, mainstream medicine will play a part for people, but helping them realize that there's a lot of things that you can do that aren't mainstream medicine. First thing, of course, is to look at what you're eating. We've uncovered a lot of lies that women our age have been told. We cover that in our free class, and we've been told these things our entire life. We were brought up on it. I know I was an absolute fat phobe for many years because I believe that was the source of my sinus infections, because that's what I'd been told. I'd also been told that I'd be on semi-regular antibiotics and nasal sprays for the rest of my life, but now realise that sugar was the culprit, not the fat, as long as the fat is a healthy fat. And as I said before, my life changed that day and I've never looked back.
Yeah, that makes me think of a few things with doctors. Number one, I've heard so many stories, people who are morbidly obese being told by their doctor that their doctor really looks into nothing else. They just blame everything on being obese. And number two, doctors almost never talk about diet.
Doctors have no training at all in nutrition. I remember going to my doctor, who I've since divorced, and she would sit there with her very big round belly and dish out advice on weight loss while she had a can of Coke next to her computer.
Yeah.
So there's no credibility there.
Yeah, and I was actually told by my doctor there was no way in the world that I could ever fix my asthma that I'd had from a child, and I would just have to go on stronger and stronger puffers till the end of my life, and that certainly wasn't true, and I've proved that.
Exactly, same as I've proved my health journey as well.
You guys are inspiring me to look more into stuff for my back, because I've got chronic back pain that I've been told from x-rays that my spine looks about 20 years older than it is, and that's just bad luck, and it's always going to be that way.
Yeah, and I think that's the answer you get.
This is before my fall.
Medicine. I was going to say, is that before or after? I'm sure you're back.
Yeah, I haven't even. This is episode 3, and I've mentioned that I'm in hospital a couple of times, but I haven't. I'm not really talking about myself, so I haven't shared with the listeners about the whole deal. But maybe I'll just do that really quickly, just so that anybody who's curious knows. So, 3 weeks ago, I was putting Starlink internet on my rooftop because that's the only internet you can get out where I live. And I got the satellite dish up there, took the first step onto the first rung of the ladder to come down and get the drill. The ladder fell. I broke 11 ribs, two, what do you call it, vertebrae, 4 of a thing I've never heard, which is called transverse process, and my collarbone. So it's just 18 bones, that's all. But
you're lucky. I'm very lucky alive, to be, I think.
Very lucky that I'm alive, and my doctor said those that I do see, because they live, usually are in wheelchairs and sometimes can't talk. I have no permanent, so with this time the doctors have told me that I don't have any permanent damage from any of this. It's just going to be the next 12 weeks and then a little bit of rehab beyond that, but very lucky. And that's why I'm doing this podcast, because I've been meaning to do this podcast for years, and here we are. I'm always too busy with work. Now I'm not too busy with work, and I'm getting this done. Go ahead.
Yeah, Jeremy, what I was going to say, while you're in hospital, looking to earthing and grounding. There's actually products you can get to use indoors now, and it has been scientifically shown to heal and repair the body quicker, especially when you've had operations. It's not going to do a miracle cure or anything like that, but it just helps the process. So you might want to, while you've got time in hospital, look into that. You'd really be
Earthing and
surprised.
grounding. Excellent. And
Yeah, earthing
luckily
and
I haven't
grounding,
had
yes.
any operations, and they don't expect to do any operations,
That's amazing.
surprisingly enough. Yeah, I don't happen to believe in any of the big religions gods, but somebody seems to have been looking out for me out there.
Yeah,
I'm not
maybe.
done
Yeah,
with this life yet.
you've been given a second
Anyhow,
chance, that's for sure.
yeah. All right. So how does that core philosophy that you guys have behind your business, how does that translate into tangible results for your clients?
Do you want to go, Linda, if you're not scratchy?
Yeah, I've got 3 bars on there now, so hopefully I've moved out the backyard, so hopefully it's
Okay.
Go
better.
for it. How's the weather there?
Yeah, it's beautiful at the
Beautiful.
moment, and I'm
Where are
standing
you?
barefoot on the grass. I'm at Ingleburn in Sydney, and Vicky's
Okay.
at Cronulla.
And I'm
Yeah.
in the Northern Rivers, and it's been rainy here for a week. By the way, before you tell me about the tangible results for your clients, curious, are your clients all over the world? Are they mostly or all in Australia so far?
Mostly all in Australia so far.
Yeah.
We haven't really reached out to other countries yet because I suppose, wanted to get a good base and see how everything
Yeah.
goes because of that
But
time
this is a
difference.
worldwide
Because we do
podcast,
like
and
to talk.
you'd be happy to take clients on from anywhere in the world as long as they don't
Yep.
have the opposite time zone, which would make it difficult for them to get to your group
Yeah.
meetings.
That could be a bit of a
Yeah.
struggle, but yeah, that wouldn't be a problem. Yep.
Yeah. Excellent. All right. So, how has your core philosophy translated into tangible results for your clients?
We've based our modules on what we've learned and what we've both experienced as middle-aged women. And so we have a different sort of way. That's why we advertise mainly for women over 50, because when women get over 50, their whole body changes, and there's very little study done on it at all. And most studies, anything at all to do with weight, exercise, it's all done usually on males and not on women, and especially not on women that are menopausal age or past that reproductive age. So Vicky and I are both good models of that. We've gone through things. We've got people in our own age group. How we bring that is we've structured our course to bring all those core values in, because it's not just food and it's not just exercise. It's also about stress, and it's also about community and interest and keeping those interests and breathing. There's a whole pile of things that we bring in. So we do that in our modules, and it might be way out. Some things may be a little bit way out there for some ladies, but they definitely enjoy learning about it, like earthing, for example. And the other way is we have our Tuesday coaching calls where anything that comes up, we address and make sure that they're handling what we're teaching them. We're not just throwing them in and saying, here's the course, do it. We're making sure that they're understanding it. They've got any questions, we'll answer it for them before they move on. So did you want to add anything, Vicky?
I was just going to say, I think in our course too, mindset, we do mindset first, and that's a really big, I'm going to use the word hurdle, but women our age are often very set in their ideas. Like they've been told all their life that this is the way it is and there's no changing from that. So we spend a bit of time on trying to overcome that, because as I said before, we've been told lies, like big fat black lies, about how to lose weight and how to keep it off and what we should and shouldn't do. So it's about helping them to change, and they have to come in with a mindset that they say that they will definitely be open to change. And I also think that society has deemed that women our age old, and that getting fat and chubby and getting tired and getting sick is just part of life and there's nothing you can do about it. And that's just absolutely not true. So it's about trying to slice through all the haze of this societal expectation and lies that we've been told. We do spend quite a bit of time on that as well. We give them the nuts and bolts about what's good to eat, what's not good to eat, all the myths around exercise, of which there's quite a few, and bringing in things like good sleep and stress, as Linda mentioned, getting out in the fresh air, having friends, doing social stuff, having hobbies. Like one of the things we talked about the other week was what brings you joy. One of the ladies in our group is an amazing knitter, and another one loves to do art. So we bring in all sorts of those lifestyle aspects as well to help. It's not just, we're not doing just a diet plan because they don't work. We're helping them create their own lifestyle. We give them an overarching umbrella of what's healthy, and you pick out what you like. If you don't like avocado, you don't have to eat it. We've got 4 recipe books, which are full of recipes. We've got a main meals one, we've got a breakfast one, we've got a sweet treats one, and we've got a snacks one. And there's delicious alternatives in there that you can eat pretty much anything. And the latest thing we've added is some hacks that women can do immediately around how they can manage, before they even start the modules, eating your food in a certain order that will also produce really good results. Did that answer the question?
Can you briefly share that order? I'm just curious.
Okay, so you need to eat your vegetables and your salads first, because that will lay down like a netting in your gut, and that will slow down the absorption of glucose. And glucose, if your glucose spikes, not only will you put on weight, but it will leave you open to all sorts of chronic health conditions. It'll either start them or make them worse. So particularly obviously for diabetics, but for everybody, because people that have normal blood sugar still have these horrific spikes and crashes. Then you want to eat your protein and your fat, and they often come together. If you have a steak, you've got protein and fat together, and then eat your carbs last. So if you go down to the local bolo club and you've got chips and you want a couple, eat them last. Don't eat them first. Don't eat your garlic bread first, because that will give you a huge sugar spike. So
it's like a visual of that is like a sink. So if you eat your carbs first, what happens is it goes straight through the down pipe or drain through the stomach. But if you eat your veggies and salad first, it puts like a lining on it. Like if you peel potatoes in the sink and you've got water, it dribbles through. It does a similar thing. So it slows down that absorption into the blood. And yeah, so that's, if you want a visual, that's a bit of a visual.
And
that's interesting. That's
hack. We've got a few.
I guess Americans do one thing right. One thing that's Americans, I think the fattest country in the world, do wrong is way too big of portion sizes and all of that. But if you go to a restaurant in America, then generally they bring you salad first, but they also will often bring a bread, now that I think about it. But here in Australia,
and the funny thing about that is that we have heard about that. The funny thing is that if you have the bread first, it's actually going to make your hormone for hunger a little bit, you're not going to get satisfied. And when you get that blood rise, you want more. So you're more likely then to, hey, let's get more bread, let's get a dessert.
And that's exactly what happens. Yeah. I know when I go out with my family, they eat all the garlic bread and then they order more.
Yeah.
Exactly what happens.
And then they do, if they get enough garlic bread, then they fill up on that, and then they never have the protein and veggies and everything else.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they'll probably want dessert because they've got that, hunger, more carbs.
Yeah. It's
so no room for the good stuff, but they've saved room for dessert.
Yep. Back in my day when I was eating sugar, I have been known to go out and just order 2 desserts for my meal. That's pretty bad.
That might actually be below your calorie count. Probably not, because it's dessert, but one dessert might be. But
calories is a whole nother topic, which we probably don't have time to go into now. But yeah.
All right, cool. So, you guys share with me a success story where your coaching methods made a significant difference in a client's life.
Who wants to go?
Do you want to share a story?
I was thinking of.
Do I need to bleep out her name?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Uh,
Yes, please. Yeah.
maybe, yeah, probably.
Try to
Yeah,
do
she
that.
probably wouldn't care, but
Yes.
Let's
Yes.
let's give her a different name.
Let's call her Connie.
Connie? Okay, Connie. Tell me about
Sally.
Connie.
Okay, Connie came to us and she wanted to lose weight, but she also had a problem because she would come home after work and she's got a husband and her elderly mother living with her, and she'd come home and have a chat with the mum, and she said, I'd sit down every afternoon, I'd have a couple of wines and I'd nibble on food. So she wanted to lose weight and she wanted to stop drinking. So they were her two big things. So she was really good. She joined the program and she really got stuck into doing the modules. She came almost, didn't miss a night with the coaching calls. And now, this far down the track, she looks great. She's lost quite a bit of weight. She's not coming home and drinking anymore. She wasn't getting drunk every day, but she realised the drinking was becoming a problem. That stopped because she's changed what she's eating. Now she doesn't get the nibbles like she used to. She's eating really well. She said she's sleeping so much better. She's just started going to yoga with Linda, and she said she works in a school, and she said someone's having a birthday almost every day, and so almost every day someone's bringing in a cake or chocolates or whatever. So it was very hard for her to resist in the beginning, but she said I don't even really want it anymore. And she said people are commenting on how well she looks, the weight she's lost, and
Mm.
just her skin, just her whole vibe has changed. And yeah, she's done extremely well. But then she's also put in the work of listening to the modules and taking on what we've suggested, and she's got the results for it. Do you want to add anything to that, Linda?
Yeah, I think that, I would add something, that because her husband didn't exactly follow what she was doing, he would eat the meals, but he would add extra, come home and have biscuits before meals and things like that. And he just recently had to go into a hospital urgently and have 2 stents put in his heart. Now he's going to be following what she's doing, and hopefully that repairs his health down the track as well.
Yeah, he's a very big man, so he was eating what she gave him and then everything he wanted to eat on top. So bit of a recipe for disaster, really.
So he needed his own wake-up call.
Yeah, he was very lucky. Yeah.
Were you allowed him to join your group even though he's a man?
We said he can sit behind her. We've said that to a few of our ladies with the husbands. Let him sit behind you. Because we're a women's group, sometimes we want them to feel safe to be able to say whatever they want to say as far as their body goes, or their weight, or if it's something to do, it could be something to do personal. So we want them to feel in a safe zone, but there's nothing stopping their husbands being in the background or listening with one ear sort of thing.
And when we get onto hormones, he'd probably feel a little bit out of his depth anyway.
Yeah.
I think.
And Oscar, and the story that I'd like to tell, which probably a lot of ladies might be able to associate with, and I won't say a name, so that way we don't have to say anything.
Yep, but, you can give her another name now.
Okay, let's call her Sharon. Okay, Sharon, when she got into her 50s and her hormones started to change, she was fine. She didn't change a thing, but her body started to change. She started to put on weight around her belly, upper belly, and she couldn't work it out. And previously, in her younger years, she could just starve herself. She could just go, I'm going on a diet, wedding's coming up, I'm going to eat salad for 2 weeks, and the weight would fall off her. But once you get into that transition and your body's starting to change and your hormones, you're losing your reproductive hormones, that didn't work for her, and she got really depressed on, why can't I lose it? I haven't changed anything. So when she followed our principles, the weight started to come off her, and so that allowed her to. We eat well. It's not like we starve ourselves, and we try to teach people to eat whole natural foods, which is what our body is meant to be. We don't count calories, but we count nutrients. So we're looking for we eat all the macronutrients, because that's what nature provided our body and our cells to grow and to work with. And that can make a huge difference, especially as you enter menopause, because sugar is a big enemy. Sugar and processed foods are a big enemy for a woman's hormonal system as she enters menopause. And there's a lot we could talk about, but we wouldn't have the time. But it's all about the adrenals now are making a lot of those sex hormones that we need, estrogen and progesterone. So if they're interrupted with stress or bad sleep, a lot of cortisol can flood the body. Yeah, or bad food, with inflammation. So for her, just cutting back on a lot of exercise, like instead of being, this particularly wasn't her, but it relates to another lady that we talk about. And she thought that if she hit the pavement and really stepped up her exercise, that exercise equals losing weight, calories in, calories out sort of thing.
That's what we've always been told, isn't it?
Yeah, so unfortunately, as we get older, that doesn't work anymore because it puts our body in a stress mode. So we're better off, and we need to do like more sort of strength exercising to keep our muscles strong, to absorb all that glucose that we might be eating, and to keep our balance going, it's just good for everything. And that doesn't mean you sit on the couch and be a couch potato. It means maybe walking or doing exercises that you love to do. You might be taking up a dance class or a golf class or tennis, but not slogging it out in a gym or stressing your body. And and that happened to me too. Like I was really scared to give up physical exercise like that because I believed that's what lost the weight off me. And when I slowed down and I think I originally started with something like belly dancing, and then I progressed to yoga, which is very much helps with stress. The weight just started coming off without me really doing, obviously I was eating better, but the weight seemed to come off and I wasn't doing all this strenuous exercise. Getting back to Sharon, she did all these things and now when you follow our principles, you can always reset. And that's why we call it a reset, because in reality, we're not here to tell them, never go have a piece of birthday cake, never go have a glass of wine and a slice of pizza with your friends because it's somebody's birthday. We advocate if you can be good 80% of the time and eat whole natural foods, there's that leeway of 20% that you can indulge in those foods. When it's finished, when the holiday's over, the celebration's over, get back on track with your whole natural foods and everything falls into place. You're not bombarding your body with processed foods. And when we get to that stage, we can live our life with more energy, health. Our body's getting the nutrients that it needs to be able to be healthy, to be able to walk, to be able to get down. That's why we want to do some sort of weight-bearing exercises or yoga to be able to get on the floor of our grandkids at 50, 60, 70 and get up easily and carry them on our hip because they're heavy. You can do all those things.
Mine anymore. My eldest one's 22, so I'm a bit beyond that. But unlike Linda, I didn't freak out about giving up exercise because I never did any, because I didn't like it. But I do realise now, as I'm getting older, that it's really important. As Linda said, keeping strength and flexibility and balance is really important. So I tried all sorts. I tried Pilates. I didn't like it. I don't like yoga. Didn't like any of that, but I've just discovered what I do, and it's aqua aerobics. Because I'm so awkward and ungainly on dry land, in water it doesn't matter. And you can do lots of resistance stuff in the water. And I've just started Tai Chi, which I really like. As Linda said, it's really important to find something you love, because if you don't love it, you're not going to keep doing it. You just won't.
It sounds like with your clients, you encourage them to find what they love instead of having a one-size-fits-all. Yeah.
No, because it doesn't work. And I've just got one other really quick little story about a client who I will call Jenny. She'd had surgery for breast cancer, and she was on a regime of medication for the ensuing 5 years. But one of the side effects of the medication was very severe muscle pain, which the doctors had said to her, you're just going to have to suck it up and put up with it. But it was really interfering with her sleep. And because she was feeling so terrible, she wasn't eating properly. She was putting on weight. Anyway, long story cut short, she changed her approach to diet and what she ate. That was the only thing she changed in the beginning. And within 2 weeks, that's how fast it was, her pain had gone from an 8 or a 9 out of 10 down to a 2 out of 10 and sometimes a 0 out of 10 just by changing what she ate. And then she added in all the other lifestyle stuff as well, and things continued to get better. But you can make a dramatic difference for some people really quickly.
Yeah, I'm glad you told that one, because it sounded like at the beginning you were saying that weight wasn't the main thing, but then it feels like a lot of the results you're talking about is weight.
Oh, look, we focus on belly fat. We call ourselves often the belly buster coaches, because belly fat is so much more dangerous than fat anywhere else on your body, because it surrounds all your internal organs, and it actually secretes toxic substances from the belly fat. So it impacts on type 2 diabetes, heart disease, fatty liver, so many chronic illnesses, and it's the one that you really need to get rid of. I guess for us at the moment, our promotion, particularly on Facebook's been really difficult, because we're getting told that we're body shaming when we're really trying to help. It's hard.
Yeah,
when
we're not
that's your
saying.
niche.
Yeah, we're not saying that you have to have the perfect body, because nobody can have. It's
No.
very hard to get that. We're not saying that, but menopausal women. That is like the first place that it dumps the weight around that. Usually, not in 100% of cases, but usually
But most of
around
the time,
the belly. Yeah, and that's where it causes all the problems. So if you can get that down, and we can help them with that weight there, it all starts to fall in place from there.
Well, it sounds like I've been menopausal since about my mid-20s then. I was going to ask you, do either of you, do you have an opinion about HRT treatment?
I've got a friend who's been on HRT for a really long time, and she's had a few health battles, but one of them was blood clots in the lungs, which they believe is because she's been on HRT for 27 years. So, look, I think it's been improved a lot over the years, and I think on a short-term basis, personally, I was fortunate that I didn't need to take it. If I had needed it, I would have had to think probably long and hard about it, maybe for a short term. But I also think, because when I was going through menopause, that's when I changed my whole lifestyle. So if I'd continued on my journey, my menopause probably would have been worse. So I think it's all connected, but I'm not dead against it. But when I look at my friend and what she's been through, and her GP was very happy to just keep. She tried to go off it, and the hot flushes she got were unbearable, which is why she was on it in the first place. So even now she's over 70, she's still struggling, and probably will for the rest of her life, apparently, with these hot flushes. But the particular drug that her GP had her on, the particular HRT, when she went to the specialist, he nearly had a fit, because he said, you can't give that to women over 60 because it gives blood clots.
I know.
Yeah. Look,
and I think from my latest research that I've looked into it is that they recommend now that HRT is only recommended for women that are just heading into menopause, like 45 upwards, and for a short period of time. Because as Vicky said, if you give the women and keep it on, it's not recommended for long term. But what's going to happen when they go off? They're going to get those experiences if they don't change what they've done. They may not want to change their diet or anything, because HRT's allowed them to eat not that good of food and still get away with it. So that's what, as Vicky said, as you get older, probably even over 55, it's not recommended. But there's other things that women there's bioidentical hormones that they can go down the path, and a lot of it is very much trial and error with that.
Because everyone's different.
Yeah, but what we've found is if you can get on the path of good eating natural foods, cutting out the sugar, cutting out anything that's inflammatory, and following our lifestyle principles, these things just won't happen. Like I was like Vicky, I was going through all these changes and doing all these things, and I hardly had a symptom at all.
I think the hard part is I've got a friend who's a GP, and I had occasion to have a chat with him one night, and I actually grilled him on how he interacts with a new client. I said, do you ever go through diet or lifestyle? Blah, blah. He said that he did, but he said to me, 9 out of 10 people just want a pill. He said they'd rather eat whatever they're eating, and then when they get sick, go to the doctor and get a pill. So he said most
I
people...
suppose that beyond doctors not having a lot of training in nutrition, even if they do, that's mostly the people they see don't want to hear about it anyway. So they end up just giving them what they want.
Yeah, they do. And they're very much band-aids around easing symptoms rather than looking so much for the root cause of why your knee's really hurting or why your back's aching, and just giving painkillers or anti-inflammatories. But I know for me, that day that I discovered that sugar was probably the culprit, it was like I'd been liberated. I can manage my own health, mostly. And I have over the last 11 and a half years. So, you know, I guess what Linda and I are doing are looking for those people like us that want to escape the rat wheel of taking pills for everything and being able to be your own health manager.
Yeah, letting your body take the input of food and turn it into the right chemicals on its own.
I know one of the quotes we had from IIN was, the human body will heal itself by itself most of the time, given half a chance. Which,
and giving it the right fuel is giving it a lot of chance, isn't it?
Exactly.
The right
Feed
fuel,
it the right
good
fuel.
sleep, fresh air, good water,
stress management, all it just makes such a massive difference.
Excellent. We're running out of time here. What I'll ask is 2 final questions for both or either of you to answer, or neither. If you don't have an answer to either of these questions, the answer is no, that's perfectly fine as well. So the first question is there anything that we started talking about that you didn't get to say as much as you wanted to because we headed off in a different direction?
I don't think so for me. I think we covered most questions. Linda, what do you think?
We covered most things. As I said, I would like to just say that our main core is we want to teach women, we want to empower women to take charge of their own bodies, which is not being addressed by mainstream medicine, even health professionals. And that's what we're trying to empower these women to be able to do, to live younger for longer and not be expected to think that they're going to get all these illnesses. They're going to get diabetes, or they're going to get heart disease, or they're going to get inflammation and sore joints. We want to empower them to know that there's things that they can do.
I remember my friend a couple of years ago broke her arm and went to the local casualty ward, and they said, what's your medication? She said, I don't take any medication. Yeah, but you're 60, you must be on something. Actually, no, I don't take anything. And then they set her arm, put plaster on it, and they said, okay, we want you to take that for pain relief. And she said, I don't really need it. I've got some Panadol at home, I'll take it if I need it. And they're like, you have to take the pain medication. And she said, I'm not going to because I don't need it. So they got really angry with her because she refused to take the pain medication. She said, I was fine, I didn't really need it. So again,
that's interesting.
that.
I've never, the pain medication is the one medication that I've found, doctors will often happily dole it out, but they're not necessarily
well, not in this
pushing
instance.
it. Interesting.
That was all I was going to say.
The final question before I have you plug where people can find you. Is there anything about either of you or your business, about your philosophy and your work, about you personally or your philosophy and your work, that, because I don't know you that well, yourselves much better than I know you, that didn't even come up? I didn't ask anything about it, and that would be a glaring omission in a discussion of who Linda is, who Vicky is, or who the business is.
You go first, Vicky.
I think we covered all the core issues around weight loss is our main draw card for women, but it's so much more than that, because the interesting thing is you've got to actually be healthy to lose weight, not the other way around. And that's something that a lot of women don't understand. They think if they lose weight, they'll be healthy, but you've actually got to be healthy to lose weight. And that has been proven over and over again. So it's I guess my big thing I want to say, it's a very holistic approach. As I said, we support and encourage and make it as seamless as possible, because we want these ladies that are in our group to do this for the rest of their life. It's not just a quick fix to fit in your dress for your daughter's wedding or a school reunion. It's an important lifestyle reset that is going to give you a much, much better chance of aging in a healthy and vibrant way, and not fit into the societal norms of getting sick and old and silly as you get older, which you don't have to do. It just doesn't have to be like that. But unfortunately, that's often how society will treat women our age. A lot of the time it's because we're women and we're older women and we don't have a voice and we're invisible to a lot of people. So we want to shatter that.
Yeah, said Vicky. And I think for me, I'd just like to add that I'm the bit of the scientist in the group, in the partnership. But both Vicky and I, like, we try and keep update with any new scientific research, any new books that come out, any people having classes. We really try and keep on top of that because there's so much things coming out all the time. And I'm just currently reading, just started a book on how menopause affects the female brain, which is a study they're doing, which is very interesting. And so we try and delve into that. And sometimes I do experiments on myself and I share that with the group because I'm not going to tell somebody to do something that I haven't been prepared to do myself. Yeah. And just recently, I wore a glucose monitor for about a month and a half and shared my experiences because I could see in real time what was causing my blood glucose level to shoot up and then my insulin to maybe come in and what was keeping it steady and how good it was. That's what we do as well. So that's something about me that maybe I didn't share. I love nature and I'm very much whatever's the earth has to offer. I love that. And that's where if I can be outside, I love that instead of inside. Yeah. So that's, as I said, we love to experiment. And if anybody wants to do it, I let them know I've done it. And if they want to follow, they can. It's up to them.
I like being outside too, but Linda goes camping and I don't go camping.
Linda, when you say you're the scientist of the group, do you have a science background or?
Oh, no, I actually hated science at school.
But you are an experimenter who experiments on yourself. That's what you mean.
Yes. So some things out there that it's saying that it's going to do this and that. I often do that. I suppose I like to measure things. I often had blood tests so I can measure if anything's changed because I believe that the latest books I've read, you have to measure because if you've got a level of something that's going down, if the doctor will say, oh, it's fine if you're in between A and B, but you could be at the lower end of A and that could be leading the next month you could be below that level. So I'm a big believer in maybe having a blood test once every year to get the copies, look at them yourself and just find out, make sure there's no major changes. But definitely know maybe if I'd followed a different path, if I paid more attention at school, that would have been a path that I would have gone down. But it's
or
just
if they'd been teaching something that you were interested in instead of whatever random stuff everyone has to learn. Yeah,
exactly.
You never use. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Anything else you wanted to add before we plug you?
I don't think so, Linda.
All right. The whole idea of this. Oh, sorry.
No, that's fine. Yeah.
I mean, we could
the whole
talk
idea of this podcast is. The whole idea of this podcast is everyone that listens will be learning something from all different types of coaches, but some people are going to hear you two, for example. Some people are going to hear any of the coaches from any of the episodes and go, oh my God, that's who I need as my coach. So if somebody's listening and is thinking that about the two of you, how do they find you?
Vicky,
they would be best to go to our website, which is livywellness.com.au.
Is that L-I-V-I wellness?
Yep, all one word. .com.au.
L-I-V-I wellness.com.au.
Yep. And on there, they would be best to register for our free class. Mm-hmm. And we've done a broad overview of what we do in the class. but we go into a bit more detail about the system that we use and the order that we do things in. And then at the end, we will give them the opportunity, if they want more information, is for a free phone call. So they can register for that after the class, and then either Linda or I would call them and have a chat about where they're at, where they want to go. We're really keen to get women that are really desperate to change. We're not looking for people that will have a bit of a half-baked go and say, oh, it didn't work. So we've got a set of questions that we ask to determine as best we can whether, because as we said, it's not a quick fix. You're not going to lose a kilo a week and at the end of 3 weeks she'll fit into your daughter's wedding dress. It's about getting people that really want to make life changes for good permanently.
Yeah.
And it might be weight loss that makes them think about it enough in the first place. But once we really want people who want to make a change to their health.
Yeah, losing weight is the topic on the vast majority of women our age, if you boil it down. But I think many of them don't realise how interconnected that weight is with other things that they're going through as well. Yeah. The chronic illnesses, the aches and pains, the depression, anxiety. Food can have a huge impact on how your mood is and your mental state. So they may not connect food and lifestyle to all those things, which is what we would help them do, as well as losing weight. Because as I said, my initial connection to this lifestyle was not to lose weight. It was about my health, but the weight loss was a bonus. So Linda and I, we started our journeys from very different points, but we ended up at the same place.
Yeah, and I'd like to add, me and Vicky, we don't eat the same. Like, we eat differently, but we get the same results.
The same umbrella of health food. Yeah, we don't eat the same at all for a lot of things. Linda always eats breakfast.
You don't eat the same, as in you both don't eat sugar and you don't eat a lot of processed foods.
That's the same. Yeah,
so you don't eat the same.
But we don't, and we encourage our women, we don't want them to follow a diet like Monday, eat fish and this. And
we don't do that.
Because they have to be able to come home on a busy night, look in the cupboard and go, oh my goodness, what am I going to eat? Oh, let me grab some eggs. Yeah, I can fry some eggs. Let me grab, or maybe there's some beans in the cupboard, or this, let me put that in. Or there's a sausage, so that they can make up their own meal if they have to quickly with all the sort of macronutrients. Yeah, without going, oh, there's nothing in the cupboard, let me order Uber Eats in. And
so just remember, Linda and Vicky are not fat shaming. If you're fat and happy, that's perfectly fine. If you're fat and unhealthy and you want to become a healthy person, that's when you're going to contact, and you really want to.
That's right.
That's when you're going
and maybe women, and a lot of those women, that they might not consider themselves fat, but they may have that round belly, that little barrel belly. And a lot of them will have very skinny legs, but they will have this
like
barrel around, like an apple shape. And they're the ladies that really do need the help, because all that fat is around the middle. Yeah, exactly.
All right, excellent, fantastic, thank you. Oh, and I'll just say for myself, everyone can find all of my links to everything, my social media, let's see, I've got an Amazon wish list while I'm in the hospital. So it's jeremywest.net. jeremywest.net is where you can find me.
I'll send you an earthing book.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you very much. All right. Thank you. Thank you, you two.
Thanks, Jeremy.
It's been a joy, and we'll talk to you again down the track.
You will.
Thanks, Jeremy.